What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Spencer. Taking a look again at the new Union support. I made a video last night, and there are so many weird nuances to this deck that are just like hard to test without, having an online sim to like see everything. But the one thing I did not realize is that the card you're seeing to the left of the screen, X Cross Cannon, it's not a Union monster, and that makes things really awkward. I'll show you a one card X Cross Cannon combo, but it's really like almost inaccessible. There is a way to get there, and I'll show that. It's a little bit awkward. I don't know what my final build of this is going to look like, but in any case, I'm going to show you guys 4 different combo variations, 2 one card starters, and then if you can see 2 of the cards, it kind of ends up the same a little bit. It just kind of depends, and I play tested a little bit. There's just usually those extra cards in your hand are just going to be extenders at the end of the day, but I do run the the World Chalice engine. I think it's really good because it gives you free discard fodder while also getting you to Ancient Fairy Dragon. They're more soft garnets than they are bricks, but I know I'm going to have to trim the fat a lot in this deck when it comes down to it, but you do get to run like 11 going second cards, and the rest are just combo pieces. The only hard garnet is Union Driver, but that's always been the case for this deck. Like that has never changed. Your main goal always is to banish the gadget with Dragon Head. That's like the best play that you can do. And this is where things get a little bit weird. This card is like not good, I guess. It is kind of good, but it's not good. The only reason this card is even necessary is because X Cross Cannon is not a Union monster. You have to like send a monster with the same attack, and the only Union monster that fits that is this generic vanilla X Head Cannon. So that's just like, that's just not very good. But you want to go into the new fusion because it's like, it's not bad at all. It helps you do so much. Like, I wish it was a Union monster. It's really just kind of so dumb. And I do run the new Illusion Link that's coming out. It's actually really good. It's a generic, lets you set a continuous trap that counts itself as a monster. Like the trap counts itself as a monster. This is a solemn judgment, but not for like everything, but for like monsters. And it's a trigger effect too. And that's so important. This also pops a card on the field. So that's also like amazing. Or it pops a spell and trap on the field. So this ends up being like really good interruption, actually. It's like through my playtesting, really relevant, especially this trap. I know there's an illusion trap. The fact that this is a trigger negate summon effect, like let's say your opponent, I just very specifically because I played it, let's say your opponent's playing Salamangreat and they have the field spell up and they try to go into the second copy of whatever, you can negate and destroy that summon before they can activate the effect of the link in the graveyard. Because it does activate in that trigger step, not like when it is summoned, basically. Kind of hard to explain. It's just like one of those weird rulings in Yu-Gi-Oh where monsters before they're on the field enter this like little like summoning portal where things like very specific cards can trigger from it. But yeah, you get to use this multiple times, and that's usually like your goal. You could obviously run Infinity here. Like you probably can. It depends on the extra deck space. I haven't decided yet. This does the same thing when your opponent activates a monster spell. A monster effect or a normal spell and trap. So it is, I guess, a little bit limited technically, but it does, negate the most important cards like Triple Tactics Talent. It changes that effect, which I think is also kind of important. But again, you can go into Infinity, and it's just like it depends on if you have the extra deck space. This is, technically just one less card where you have to do that. But it changes the effect to destroy a spell and trap, and you're going to have one because of this Coliseum. But you could just go into Infinity through Nova, right? But at the end of the day, like, this is really good. You do have this one extra body. It's fine, right? You can technically just use it next turn. But this is a pop, right? This is also a banish. This is an Omni negate. This is an Omni negate. This negates a summon, which, of course, that zone will be available. If I had played my zones a little bit better, and you'll see that in the gameplay. This would also be in spell and trap pop as well, as well as like a monster summon negate. So that's like really good, right? That's like, and also I do like the IB engine because it does allow you to have free discard fodder in your hand. There's so much that you can do with these combos. This is pretty much the best that I could come up with personally. You're going to be a little bit short. You're not going to be able to get both of the extra deck monsters out. The end board is pretty decent. There's some cards I just don't want to play personally. But at the end of the day, you can't complain too much, especially because ABC Dragon Buster can just replace itself, and you just get so much advantage from that. You can potentially just get like 6 bodies back from your fusions. Yeah, Ancient Fairy Dragon like is essentially like an ABC card at this point. I can't think of another deck where it's more useful. Yeah, like there was a time when I was trying to focus on like maybe, you know, bringing back the Toon Gear and like turning this into Psy-Frame so your opponent loses a card, which is not terrible, but yeah. Like I think this is probably just a little bit better. And here I'm using, you know, the Y Dragon again. So in this case, I have a, you know, that monster summon negate, an Omni negate, another Omni negate, pop a card on the field, and then potentially a spell and trap pop. All just off of one card, right? I mean, that's almost never going to be the case, but let's say you have 4 hand traps in your hand. At the very least, there is a 1-card play starter. So you have 2 of those, and of course, there's multiple copies of them, yada, yada, yada. So what if you have at least reactivation? You're going to get everything. Like, spoiler alert, if you just have one more thing in your hand, you're going to be able to do some pretty crazy stuff. Having a searchable Union Hanger obviously is the most important thing, I think, of all of the new support. Even if it does light lock you, it just kind of comes down to creativity at that point and what you do with it. So now you can go into Ancient Fairy Dragons. That's just so important. Also, like, Therian King Regulus is essentially an ABC card. It's like the greatest ABC card to ever exist. It's an Omni Negate, and obviously you just get to abuse those equip effects. Yeah, this is also one of the most important interactions. Z-zillion tank bringing back the Y Dragon, which of course brings back another guy. So you just get like, it's just crazy what you can do. And really you only need that body on the board, like for that very specific reason. I think just to like get all your cards on the field. So that gets to go to the graveyard, right? And then you get to go into everything. Omni Negate, Dragon Buster, the whole 9 yards again. You know what I mean? And then just one more combo. Like, what if you have both of these? You know, you just get every monster, right? Essentially the same thing. But this is really nice. I mean, this is most important for, like, hand traps specifically, because then you just kind of keep going. Because this by itself is a 1-card play starter. And that's what it mostly comes down to. And then, yeah, this is the Ib line. The cool thing is, like, you could also just summon this earlier, and maybe you just, like, straight up should. You're not light locked until you use the equip effect. So if your opponent was like to imperm you, you wouldn't be stuck necessarily there. There goes the Therian King Regulus. And like I said, I used to bring back the Toon Gear, but I think this is probably just like objectively better. But now you control a Union monster, and like having that free discard fodder, I think is just so cool. It's like a really cool engine to have there. And you get to do it every turn too, and that's also really important. You always get a free discard with these. And over the course of this combo, you can kind of just like do that again. I can equip like pretty much the last piece that I need. So this is also going to equip, which is just perfect, right? You're going to have like the perfect end board at this point. This is just to get, I think, the last name that I need. Yeah, you get to also add back the Toon Gear. So you actually get 2 free discards over the course of this combo. And that's, and if you have hand traps, like the other 3 cards in your hand are, you know, probably some form of interruption. That's the nice part, right? These 2 cards, you're not wasting Ash Blossom, you know, trying to choose, oh, should I discard it or should I hold the Ash? You don't have to do that at all. Like, you can use both of these. And this is just great. You know, this is everything. Both the fusions, 2 Omni Negates. This is a monster summon negate. This is a spell and trap pop. So just so much versatility. It's like going to be really, it's a really good end board because it's so evenly distributed. You know, it kind of does a little bit of everything, which I really, really like. You know, Dark Little is probably like one of those good cards, or Super Poly. But even just like the most popular going second cards, like you kind of have those answers for them, which is fun. Next time I'm going to show gameplay after I definitely trim some of the fat off of this deck. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. That's going to do it for today's video, and I will see you guys next time.